I'll be taking you through the 5 most common mistakes that people are making on their CVs. Now, you may have put in blood, sweat and tears into crafting the most perfect document, and you think that all that hard work deserves someone to pay really good attention to everything that you've done. However, Ladders Inc., a leading career site, showed in one of their research studies that on average, a hiring manager is only going to spend about 7 seconds looking at your CV. So you have a very small window of opportunity to make a good first impression. As Customer Success Director, I've been managing the hiring process and reviewing CVs for the last 2 years, and I can tell you firsthand that I've rejected potentially great candidates because they've made one of these 5 mistakes. Now, admittedly, you might not be making every single one of these, but have you made sure that you've avoided all of these common mistakes? There's only one way to find out. Hi and welcome to my channel. My name's Eva and I'm on a mission to help you build the confidence and skills to go after the career and life you want. Okay, so here are the 5 most common CV mistakes, and I'll give you some top tips at the end for how you can make sure you can avoid them. Number 1, spelling and grammar. Now, hear me out. Before you tell me that, this is the most basic thing, Adzuna ran a study on CVs that were inputted into their system, around 20,000 of them, and they found that 9 in 10 still have spelling and grammar mistakes. Now, this is such a shame. When I see a spelling and grammar mistake on one of the CVs, it's immediately rejected because it just makes me think you haven't put in the effort to perfect what you're putting in front of me. So that attention to detail is really important for any person. But sometimes you might not even be lucky enough to get a person looking at your CV. A lot of larger organizations especially use what's called an applicant tracking system, which is essentially a piece of software that scans your CVs for top keywords or for any spelling and grammar mistakes and looks at the format to suggest to hiring managers the CVs that they should look at. So if you have any spelling and grammar mistakes, your CV is automatically rejected. And it actually turns out that men are the biggest culprits, so we're looking at you. Make sure that you've checked your spelling and grammar. Now, for grammar mistakes, especially if English isn't your first language, most employers won't care that your English isn't absolutely perfect all the time. However, it will matter for the first impression. So all you have to do is get someone for whom English is their first language, get someone to review your CV and make sure that the spelling and grammar is consistent, that you've made sure you've only used 1 tense, and that the final document that you hand in is good to go. Common CV mistake number 2, including a hobbies section, but just for the sake of it. Now, some employers don't actually care who you are as a person, what you like to do on the weekend, and my advice is just avoid those like the plague. However, at this very first stage, employers are just looking to see what can you bring to the role. Now, the amount of times I've seen in a hobby section, I like reading, I like traveling, I like swimming. You're not going to be doing any of those 3 things for the role, so it doesn't make a difference and you're not demonstrating any other skills that you have built. Now, I'm passionate about a lot of different things in my life, and I've always had a hobby section in my CV. So salsa dancing has always been on my CV. However, my CV hobbies section doesn't just say salsa dancing. It says President of the UCL Salsa Society. It says teacher and member of an internationally performing dance group and winner of the Bachata Stars competition 2018. So I'm demonstrating a few different skills there. So I was managing a society, so there's a lot of time management, budget management, organization that's required. I'm really competitive and I'm going to bring a lot of passion to the role, and I can just manage my time really well to fit in this hobby that is really important to me. So think about the hobbies that you've done. What is there that you could add apart from just saying what you did? Have you achieved anything? Have you won any competitions? Have you built this really cool project that you want to share? And if you have, like, include links to it. But you definitely have an opportunity to showcase your best work. So if you can, use that and do that in the hobby section. Otherwise, just omit it altogether and get some hobbies. Oh, And speaking of salsa dancing, let's cut to a 10-second dance break. Mistake number 3, using cliches in your CV. The number of times that I've read, I'm a motivated, fast learner who can work well independently and as part of a team. Again and again and again. This is nothing original. You're not giving the hiring manager or recruiter anything that's unique about you. So, to help you remember all of the cliches that you shouldn't use in your CV, I have made a little montage. Number 1, I am motivated. Number 2, I have great communication skills. Number 3, I'm a fast learner. Number 4, I have strong attention to detail. And number 5, I'm creative. I challenge you to go back, look at your CV and see if you're using any of these really common cliches. CV mistake number 4, telling, not showing. So if I came on this video and told you guys I'm an expert in interior design, would you buy it? It's fine, I don't take offense. But I'm clearly not an expert in interior design. I just kind of whipped this set together in the last few minutes. So you really have to have something to back what you're saying in your CV, especially if you say that you have great attention to detail and you're super organized. If your CV is messy or cluttered or too long and you say that you can keep things simple, well, you're not doing that. So make sure you're backing up everything that you're saying with actual evidence in your CV. Now, particularly when you have less experience or maybe no work experience just yet, candidates tend to just list out what the duties were in their role. So a lot of the times I've literally seen something that's been taken from the job description of a previous role just being copy pasted into the CV, as in, this is what I was doing. But that's not quite going to cut it. So you need to focus on what result did you actually drive? What value did you bring to the business? And this doesn't have to be, oh, I sold $1 million cash. Like it doesn't have to be something as complicated as that, because you probably don't have that experience yet. But for one of the earlier jobs that I had, it was running the accommodation survey. So I had to knock on doors and ask students to fill in how happy they were on the accommodation that they had at university. So instead of just saying I collected this, this number of surveys, I said collected over 1,000 surveys for the big student survey that was ran. So the difference there is I'm just quantifying something that I did to give people an indication of the scale or magnitude of the tasks that I had to cover. And this should be fairly easy for you to do. So for example, how many people were you addressing something towards? If you were managing some kind of sports team, how many people were on your team? Or it could be a comparison of how you did compared to your peers. So if you were Employee of the Month one month, or you were Employee of the Year for one of the activities, or you won some kind of competition, make sure to include that. So find a way to quantify what it was that you were doing and explain how it added value. It may help you to use action verbs in order to do this. So it's I ran something, or I completed something, or I created something, rather than just I did this. CV mistake number 5, not tailoring your CV. This is probably the most important. The one question that every recruiter or hiring manager is trying to answer is, why do you want this job and why would you be a good fit? That's not one question, that's 2 questions. But anyway, why would you be a good fit for this job? And How we start to assess that is, how does your previous experience demonstrate that you'll be able to do this role? So, have you read the job description? I know it sounds very basic, but I don't just mean read it once and kind of get a gist of what the role is about. I mean, read every single line and think about, where have you done this before? This skill that they're asking for. So do they want great communication skills? What teams have you been a part of? What projects have you managed? Do you have great attention to detail? Okay, tell me about something that you've reviewed, some piece of research or analysis that you did. Make sure you've scoured every single line of that job description and found a way to demonstrate some of the skills that you have. Now, sidebar. You don't have to be able to do every single thing that's in the job description. I know women do this more than men, so I'm gonna say you don't have to do every single thing to put yourself forward and apply for that job. Most of the time, hiring managers don't even know what they're gonna find valuable until they see it. So don't pull yourself out of the race before you've even started. If there's a job that you find interesting and you fulfill maybe 6 of the criteria out of the 10, please still, I encourage you to apply for that job and you'll find out in the process. Next thing, to make sure that your CV is tailored. You don't have to include every single job you've ever done. For the first 4 years of my career, my CV was only ever 1 page because I didn't have all that much experience to add in, and that's absolutely fine. So just include the roles that are going to be relevant. So it might not matter if you did a job where you worked in a shop for a couple of months while you were at uni, if you're going for a research role. But if you're going for a sales role, then that might be exactly what you should be including. So think about what's going to be relevant to the job and only include certain parts that the employer is going to find useful. Now, tailoring the CV is going to take time. So if you sent out 50 applications last week, you're probably not doing a very good job. Every single resume or CV you send out must be tailored to the role, and it takes time to do that. So my recommendation would be spend about an hour on every CV that you're going to send out. That makes sure that you've taken time to check it, tailor it, and actually show and evidence how you would be good at that role. So there you have it, the 5 most common mistakes that people are making on their CVs. Make sure you've avoided them. But there are some tools to help you do that. If you go to Top CV, they have a free CV review service. And what that means is you upload the final document once you've already checked it for spelling and grammar, as we've said, but they will check that for you anyway. So you upload the completed document and they will get an actual CV expert to review your CV for free. Now, they obviously have additional services such as CV writing, which they're trying to sell to you, but the very first review of your CV will be 100% free. So there's literally no reason to not do this. So, no excuse to not try it. I'll put the link to Top CV down below in the description. Please, I encourage you to go and try it and see how your CV fares and how you can amend it before you apply for the dream job. If you found this valuable, I'd love to hear in the comments section, were you making any of these 5 mistakes that you've now amended? Are there any other videos that you'd like to see or advice you'd like to see for going after new interviews? Please like and subscribe for more inspiration, entertainment, and practical tips on how to go after the career and life you want. Thanks for watching.